Hi, this is Dr. Richard Ruling, here to welcome you on the Total Health Channel. Thank you for being with us from time to time, and please, if you like it, don't want you to say a lie, but I think I got good information that's better than you find. I've come through Christian schools and been taught Bible classes, but what I'm sharing for the end time wasn't seen way back then, and you won't hear it in church or Sunday school, Sabbath school, whatever. So please take a listen. And we're looking at the book of Daniel when Christ was asked about the end of the world in Matthew 24, verse 3. He replied in verse 15 to read and understand the book of Daniel. And Daniel's prophecies span 2,500 years from his time to now, and it's right on target. And even starting with the first chapter with health care, not medical care. The king's health plan was not health, okay? The king wanted his captives to eat the best food he had, his meat, his wine, and goodies, but Daniel was interested in a simple diet and really proved in a 10-day trial better off. And I think to opt out of medical care, vaccinations, and things like that is a wise choice. Daniel 2 shows an image that the king was so impressed with that he was asked his wise men who claimed to know the gods what the dream was. He couldn't remember it, and what the interpretation, what it meant. Well, they said, "Tell us the dream, we'll tell you the interpretation." Only Daniel had the faith to say, "We serve a God of heaven who knows what you dreamed, and he'll reveal it." That night, Daniel was given the vision also, and he came in before the king the next day and explained, "You had an image, head of gold, chest of silver, thighs of brass, legs of iron, representing 4 kingdoms to rule the world. And since Daniel's time in Babylon with the head of gold, there have only been 3 more, Babylon, Medo Persia, Greece, or Rome, that have ruled the world." So Daniel has proven accurate over 2,500 years. And the king, though, didn't like the interpretation that his head of gold would be superseded by another kingdom, so he made an image of all gold. Can you believe that? And he was going to throw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into a fiery furnace because they wouldn't bow down to his kingdom. He was on an ego trip. Well, God spared them. And again, another miraculous thing, and God can deliver us. The word Daniel means God is my judge. But the concept in the Bible of judges they were deliverers. The book of Judges has Samson and Gideon and other deliverers of his people, and God will deliver us if we're faithful. Okay, and if not, even Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego says, if God can deliver us, but if not, it doesn't matter. We're not going to bow down to the image. Well, it infuriated the king. He threw them into the fiery furnace, but retrieved them after he saw them walking around in the fire with a 4th one likened to the Son of God or Son of Man. You can read it in Daniel 3. Well, there's Daniel 4 about the 7 years that the king lost his mind and ate grass. But the eating grass for 7 years is like the famine in Joseph's day, 7 years of famine. I think we're headed for 7 years of tribulation and trouble soon. And you can listen to my video past some of the ones on my channel that explain why it won't start this year or next, but starting soon. And I give specific information. And I want you to consider today, though, we're looking not at Daniel, the first half, but we're looking at the second half of Daniel. And in Daniel 7, the image that the king admired and thought so much of was revealed to Daniel with not 4 metals, iron. In Daniel's time, it was gold, silver, brass, and iron, but 4 beasts of prey, fierce beasts. Well, that's what governments are. They're aggressive. They want to go into war and take the other people's land. They tax the people. The government is not good. Worldly governments are not. God's government is fair and good. His kingdom will live forever, but he's not wanting to tax us heavily, and he is our protector if we're faithful to his principles. So having said that, and this doesn't mean you won't ever be persecuted, but it can all work for good, and he will reward those who are. Looking at those 4 beasts, we see a lion with eagle's wings, a bear, a leopard with 4 heads, and a dragon with 10 horns. and a little horn coming up. Well, historically, those represented also Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, and Rome. And out of the Roman Empire, when it fell, 10 horns, 10 tribes roamed Europe with a little horn that was diverse or different. It was the papacy. Protestant reformers all saw the little horn of Daniel 7 as the papacy, and it describes it well. It made war with the saints, it persecuted. Conservative historians say 50 to 100 million Christians, Protestants, were martyred during the Dark Ages when kings did the bidding of the Pope until Napoleon's time, when he took the Pope prisoner. The prisoner died the Pope died in exile, and it was a deadly wound described in Revelation 13th chapter, verses 1 to 3. But the deadly wound healed, and today, who protests the Pope? Everybody thinks he's a great guy, but trouble is coming, and in Revelation 13th chapter, we see a second beast, a lamb-like beast with 2 horns. No crowns, though. Government without a king, a church without a pope, Protestant America. But it makes fire come down from heaven, like Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and it caused the earth to make an image or look-alike to the first beast, the papacy. All the early Americans held that beast coming out of the sea as the papacy. The reason is a sea represents peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues, populated old world. The new world, the second beast, came out of the land, opposite of populated old world. It was wilderness here when they established it, and but causing it to make an image or look-alike is the UN. It has got so many Catholic nations favoring the Pope that it will, in its actions, favor, and it did in Rwanda's time, 25 years ago plus. Rwanda slaughtered about 1 million Protestant Tutsis. And the UN could have helped them. They were full presence there. It was said that if you spit, you'd probably hit a UN vehicle in the streets of Kigali. But they did nothing. They just stood down and let the Catholic government handle it, and 1 million Tutsis were slaughtered. So UN is not good. It's worse than everything else. And it will compel false worship, according to Revelation 13, verse 14 and 15. And could say more at this point, but bottom line, we're wanting to move on to the next chapter, which shows an interesting scenario of a ram and a goat. Okay, and this ram is pushing from the Middle East, west, north, and south, and it angers a goat that flies from the west and clobbers the ram, stomps on it, breaks its horns, and it says in the 20th verse, Daniel 8:20. That the horns on the ram are the kings of Media and Persia. But today we would say Iraq and Iran, the same geographical areas, and this vision is half fulfilled. With Saddam is gone, his horn is broken. Okay, and so it gives us faith to believe God's word. In Isaiah 46:10, God says, "Who is like me, declaring the end from the beginning?" Nobody's like him. No other God can declare the end from the beginning. But Muslims might think so, but they don't have it. And I'm going to show you how now. God says he declares the end from the beginning. The book of beginnings is Genesis. And in Genesis 22, 22nd chapter, Abraham was tested over his willingness to sacrifice his son Isaac. And at the last minute, a ram was found caught by its horns in a bush. And the ram was spared. Isaac was spared by sacrificing the ram. Well, the Muslims think that the son that was spared was Ishmael, the great grandfather of their race and Muslim Arabs and so on. But the Bible says it was Isaac. So we might wonder, what's the true holy book? Which one? Well, the events unfolding in the Middle East prove the Bible is, with the horns that are broken fit Iraq and Iran, Medes and Persians, and that's militant Islam. Saddam wanted to get the Jews, and now they want to do it from Iran. The Ayatollah. Well, not good, but the proof will be when they get their horns broken and stomped. And so then I think militancy will be subdued by Islam at that point. But until then, there's been a lot of martyrs for Christ also. So, but the point partly is that at the bottom of this picture, you can see the vision is at the time of the end. That's what Gabriel told Daniel in verse 17 of Daniel 8. Vision at the time of the end. And so we're at the time of the end, really. And I believe, actually, I'm speaking this out in faith, that the great horn on the goat is President Trump. You might laugh at that, but animal horns were used to make trumpets. They would cut off a horn of an animal and blow through it to make a trumpet, and I think the great horn is the great trump. And I believe that if you see events in America change in such a way that he is still president, I believe it's biblical, and delaying the New World Order and the image to Rome for a little while longer, giving us a little hope. UN image. That's the image beast in Revelation 13. So Trump wants to make the U.S. great, and there's a big, heavy forces, lots of money, wanting to make the UN great, global government, and the Pope is behind that as well. It's his road to supremacy. Since he lost his supremacy in the Dark Ages when Napoleon took him prisoner, but this deadly wound in Revelation 13, 1-3 is healed, and with so many Catholic nations that will vote his policies and agenda, we're in for a stormy ride ahead, I believe. So having said that, let's move on to the Daniel 9th chapter. That was the one that the Jews couldn't count 7 to. It was 77s, 490 weeks of years until the Messiah. It points at in Daniel 9 verse 24 and 25. Well, the Messiah came and went. Jerusalem in the following verses was destroyed, and yes, it was Jerusalem was destroyed after Christ was walked this planet, but is a possibility that this will have an end time application, because Jerusalem may be destroyed again. And the decree of 77s began with the decree from Artaxerxes, really, in 457. It says in verse 25 of Daniel 9, know therefore and understand, from a decree to restore and build Jerusalem will be, to the Messiah, would be 69 weeks. Christ was anointed probably at 30 years of age. That was about when Jewish men or Levites were served. And he was cut off, though, in the midst of the week. A week is 7 years. 3.5 years later, he died. So all this just fits very well with history so far. And hopefully we can get it right on the reapplication time for us, because we might be Messiah anointed basically from a decree to restore and build Jerusalem after the Muslims take it. This is Zechariah 14, 1 and 2. The day of the Lord comes, and all nations, I think Muslim or neighboring nations, will be gathered against Jerusalem to battle. Houses rifled, women ravished, half the city is taken captive, and so on. So big things coming, but when you see it, just know that God saw it first, and it's all in according to His plan, even though we might not see how or why exactly. But I'm seeing more that it makes good sense, and so God's ultimately, when the Muslims take it, their joy will be short, because it says in Joel 3:16, and everybody knows John 3:16, God loved His world, He gave His only Son, but hardly anybody knows Joel 3:16. It's the day of the Lord comes, and the Lord will roar from Jerusalem, the heavens and earth will shake. So big earthquake is what that's about, and it will, as an epicenter in Jerusalem, it'll get those Muslims out of there, and but it will initiate the end time, because a huge earthquake is what brings the end time period. You see it in Isaiah 2:12, day of the Lord. Verse 19 and 21 say it. God will shake terribly the earth. And in Joel 2:10 and 11, earthquake, day of the Lord. Paul also wrote this in 1 Thessalonians 5, 1-3, when he said the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night with sudden destruction, when they're saying peace and safety. Well, that was the Iran nuclear deal. not worth the paper it was written on, probably, because Muslims are still doing their nuclear stuff underground as best they can. So we're coming to interesting times, and thankful that God has it is not taken by surprise, and He has a plan for us. Just want to encourage you with that. Uh, Daniel 11th chapter is a running account of King of the North versus King of the South, and through history, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome all came from the north to fight Egypt, who was the king of the south. But coming down through the Holy Land, it was an abusive situation of God's people. A foreign army wants food, and sometimes they take advantage of women and so on. Not good. And big trouble for God's people in times of war, especially. And the history of this, with Babylon, Medo, Persia, Greece, and Rome fighting Egypt, king of the south, is changed now to a spiritual application, because in Ezekiel, it's 26, I believe it is, verse 7, that the king of the north is Nebuchadnezzar from Babylon. Okay, well, Babylon is the king of the north initially, but in our time, Babylon is the papacy. In Revelation 17th chapter, it says, verse 5, mother of abominations, and but Babylon, mother of abominations and harlots. So, and by the way, on verse 9 it says it's sitting on 7 hills. Well, that's Rome, sitting on 7 hills. And also the other verses describe it, with whom the kings of the earth commit fornication. Rome is in bed with kings and rulers of nations everywhere, trying to control the world through their policies favorable to them. And so that's maybe enough on that topic. Don't want to wear it out, but we're facing a change not only with Rome and the king of the north being Babylon, spiritual Babylon, but we're also seeing Egypt is no longer Egypt, but America is like Egypt. You remember Egypt killed babies, they threw them in the Nile River. America's aborted 60 million. Egypt enslaved Israel, but America has enslaved most everybody in alcohol, tobacco, drugs that we call health care, and negative forms of lifestyle. Just, you know, we're professedly a Christian nation, but we're worse than Egypt. So God's going to exercise judgment against us. And in the Daniel 11th chapter, verse 40, it says, in the time of the end, the king of the north is going to overflow. Well, that's our southern border. Basically, it's we are seeing millions of people who have no appreciation for the principles of Protestantism coming into this country. This country was the only Protestant nation to begin with in the New World, compared to every country's colonized by priests in Latin America, South America, and but they're not satisfied with that. They want to come here and tell us how to run it. Pope came to Congress, great ideas, he thinks. Well, if he knows so much, why doesn't he help the continent he came from? He was in Argentina. He can solve their problems down there, and not everybody needs to come here for free food stamps, free housing subsidies, medical care, education, and so on, that the taxpayers have to pay when they come in. It's not a good situation. We in Bible times, people living in a certain area had a certain viewpoint on life, and so when you read about the Galileans who had their blood mingled with the sacrifice, well, they were patriotic, and Pilate got them because he didn't want their patriotism. And today we got some people who are patriots, bless their hearts, but America is no longer a single nation. It is very divided, and will be in trouble soon. So that's the big picture, and I could talk a little more, I guess, about Daniel 12th chapter. There's a warning there. It's in the 7th verse, where the holy people are scattered. If you recall, Christ in his last night, which was a microcosm of end-time events, said that, speaking to his disciples, you'll be offended this night because of me, because it is written, he's quoting Zechariah 13th chapter, verse 7, smite the shepherd, the sheep will be scattered. And this is implied for end times because that's what Daniel's about, end times, time of trouble such as never was. It starts out in the 12th chapter. But the scattering is a result of shepherds being, I think, taken. And favorite author of mine, Ellen White, said that when she was asked about the end times, she said there would be a sudden storm of persecution, uh, and Seventh-day Adventists, that was her church, would be scattered, but the pastors would never be seen again. And I believe that Rome and the deep state and the CIA, which everybody running the CIA, they have to be members of secret societies like Opus Dei, Knights of Malta, Knights of Columbus, and so on. Well, they know who they are and they know who they're up to, and this is part of why there's so much trouble in Washington, as D.C. has been filled with graduates of Georgetown University, Jesuit, with allegiance not to America but to the Pope. So I just say it's going to be tough sledding. Draining the swamp has not been easy, and we're in trouble coming soon. But if we get in the country, it's better. Martial law will come to cities, and it will come suddenly probably. There's reasons why we have just a year or two before big trouble is going to break loose. So hang on to your hat and study. Like this video, share it with others, and let's study and get ready because our chance will come, as Lincoln said. Thank you very much. Let me just encourage you, if you want more information, it's easy to forget. There's a forgetting curve. 24 hours from now, you won't remember half of what we talked about, okay? And at the end of a week, another half is gone, okay? But so get to healthhappinessandDestiny.com. Those are three words everybody wants: health, happiness, destiny.com. And it has on the DVD book tab, this DVD helps to see true health care. And I'm 79, okay? I wouldn't trade my health for anything, and it is largely a result of knowing how to eat well since I was a teenager. I grew up frying my own hamburgers and eggs, but when I was first year in college, I made a choice that changed my life diet-wise, and I've done very well since then. Have only needed one prescription in the last 60 years. And so I just say God is good. He designed the body for self-healing. Even heart disease will reverse itself if you know how, by eating well. Dr. Esselstyn, who is featured on this DVD, he's a Cleveland Clinic's cardiologist, and he wrote the book, How to Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. Well, his book is more expensive than mine, and my credentials are that I taught at this National Geographic cover story, Secrets of Living Longer. I was teaching health in the School of Health, where National Institutes of Health gave my school, Loma Linda, $40 million to learn why the community lived about 7 years longer. And I could have saved them a lot of money because it was the writings of the founder, which I've included in this book a great deal of, Health, Happiness, and Destiny, which is why the website name. And Dr. Grady Harp, MD, top 100 reviewer for Amazon, gave it 5 stars. And so I just say, hey, you could do worse. And with my book, I will, for a $10 donation, which would buy either the book or this DVD on Amazon, you can get both and a bonus book, What's Behind the New World Order, for a $10 donation, and about $4 for shipping to cover the cost. On Amazon, you have to pay $4 for shipping too, and you just get one thing, either the DVD or the book, but I've got both of those and the bonus. So go there, take a look, like it, and try to share, because the information is great. I think what you've seen is not what you get in Sunday school or Sabbath school, and there's more to learn than what I've been able to explain here. So thank you much. God bless you, and see you again let me just say this. This coming Saturday, I'm going to be doing a free conference call to answer questions if you will post your questions to this underneath this. So I'm going to post this Wednesday. Watch the video, and if you have questions, come to the free conference call, which, my oh my, I don't have it here. I'll post it. I'll post it underneath this video, and so you can come Saturday afternoon. It would be I'm sorry, 2 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Mountain, 4 o'clock Central, and 5 o'clock Eastern time. Those are all. I'm just doing one thing, but it fits those times. So thank you. Look forward to your questions, and let's talk again on Saturday. Free conference call. God bless you.